There are games that entertain you, there are games that impress you, and then there are those very rare few that leave a mark on you long after you finish them. The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt is the definition of a game that stays with you long after you finish it. Nearly a decade has passed since its release, and yet its world, its characters, and its storytelling continue to live in the minds of players everywhere. It didn't just raise the bar for what a role-playing game could be, it cemented what multimedia world-building could do, with The Wild Hunt cementing The Witcher as a multi-platform IP, with fan conventions, a TV show that they absolutely ruined, and more merchandise you can shake a display at. At its heart, The Witcher 3 is a story about people, about loss, love, power, and survival. It's about the lives that persist between wars, the quiet tragedies that never make it into legends, and the small choices that slowly carve out who we become. From its very first moments, you are pulled into a world that feels painfully real, a world that doesn't care that you're the hero, but still finds ways to make you care deeply about it. In this video, we're going to dive into why The Witcher is one of the best games ever made, why Geralt is such a deeply loved character, and what CD Projekt Red did so right with their artistic and narrative design of The Wild Hunt. And of course, if you enjoyed deep dives like this, please do like and subscribe, it helps the channel enormously. So many RPGs tell you who you are. They give you a destiny, a prophecy, a title to live up to. The Witcher 3 doesn't do that. It gives you instead Geralt of Rivia, a monster hunter, a man with no grand ambition beyond finding the girl he raised as his own, and surviving a world that seems hell-bent on breaking apart. It's a story that doesn't lean on saving the world, but instead on understanding it. Its corruption, its beauty, and its moral decay. And the midst of it all is Geralt, whose own morality often butts heads with the world around him. A monster hunter who often seems to understand and care more for the monsters he is paid to hunt than the humans paying him to hunt them. What makes The Witcher 3's narrative design so powerful is how it refuses to hold your hand. It doesn't color choices as good or evil. It doesn't reward you for being noble or punish you for being ruthless. It trusts you to interpret the world as you see fit, and to live with the consequences of those choices. Every quest feels like a reflection of the world, sometimes as a larger example and sometimes a more nuanced nod. There is rarely a truly right choice. As often, even the best outcomes have a dark side to them that sometimes isn't even revealed right away. And those quests where you feel there is a truly right outcome, the game makes you work for those. The Bloody Baron storyline remains one of the finest pieces of interactive storytelling ever written. What begins as a simple contract spirals into a devastating portrait of guilt, loss, and moral compromise. There's no satisfying resolution, there's no clean closure, just the uncomfortable truth that sometimes good people do terrible things, and redemption isn't always possible. That level of maturity, of emotional intelligence, is something few games have dared to reach since. A great story means nothing without great performances to carry it, and that's where The Witcher 3 becomes something truly extraordinary. Doug Cockle's performance as Geralt of Rivia is the soul of the game. Understated, weary, and quietly profound. He doesn't play Geralt as a one-note action hero, but as a man who's seen too much and feels far more than he lets on. In fact, far more than he's even supposed to feel as a Witcher. His dry humor, his quiet moments of compassion, even the way he sighs, it's perfect. No one else could have voiced that character to this level, and I will die on that hill. That was perfect casting. What's even more remarkable though is how consistent that level of performance is across the entire cast. Yennefer's dialogue crackles with wit and pride, her delivery perfectly balancing strength with tenderness. Ciri's voice captures that restless determination of youth mixed with the trauma of growing up in a world that's never been truly safe. Even Dandelion, often comic relief, delivers moments of sincerity that remind you why Geralt keeps him around. Although I will say this, the American accent always throws me slightly when placed in a world otherwise devoid of any other American accents. It's a very strange design choice, and I would love to know why they did it. Every villager, every merchant, every bandit feels distinct, unlike, say, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, where they definitely reuse voice actors a little bit too much. Here, their voices carry exhaustion, bitterness, and fleeing hope. The performances don't just deliver exposition, they create the world. They make it feel inhabited, lived in, and real. They make you believe these people existed long before you arrived and will keep living long after you leave. In an era where so many games feel overacted or sterile, The Witcher 3 remains a masterclass in how voice work can ground fantasy in an emotional reality. I would actually say that The Witcher: The Wild Hunt has the best voice acting of any game ever made, beating Baldur's Gate 3, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Kingdom Come 2 by a mile. No world, no matter how well written, survives without great characters, and that's where The Witcher 3 truly shines. Beyond Geralt and Ciri lies one of the richest supporting casts ever assembled in gaming. A tapestry of broken, lovable, and unforgettable people who make the world breathe and make you want to keep playing. Take Vernon Roche, a soldier, patriot, and a man caught between loyalty and morality. He's hardened by war but still driven by code, even when that code leaves him standing almost alone. Every time you meet him, you feel the weight of someone who's trying to stay honorable in a truly dishonorable world. I will go as far as saying that after Geralt, he is the most interesting character in the game, and also the blue stripes are fucking awesome. Triss and Yennefer, often framed as opposites, are among the most emotionally complex characters in modern games. Their relationships with Geralt aren't written for fan service, they're written with heartbreak and history. Every choice between them feels personal, because both embody different truths about love, safety or passion, forgiveness or challenge. And then of course there's the Bloody Baron, one of the finest written characters ever put to screen or controller. His story is an emotional wreck, messy, painful and raw. He's a monster and a victim at once. By the end you don't forgive him, but I think you do understand him. And that's the mark of great writing. It doesn't ask for approval, but it does ask for understanding. Even the smaller figures, Zoltan's warmth, Olgrid von Everic's tragedy, Gonta O'Dim's cold brilliance, each feels like the protagonist of their own story. You could almost take them and put them in a game all of their own creation and it would be amazing. You could pluck any of them out of the game and still find a full character arc waiting underneath. Each and every character is fully realized and has their own needs, wants, desires and goals separate to Geralt. None feel placed purely to fulfill a plot need. None are forced upon you or wasted. Every single one is a masterclass in character and plot design. Apart from maybe Dandelion. I'm sorry, I really should stop dunking on that poor bard. He just continues to feel out of place in that game. If you ask 10 people what their favourite moment in The Witcher 3 was, more than half of them I imagine will name a side quest. That alone says everything. Most games treat side quests as filler, mechanical chores designed to pad out playtime. Go to place A, collect things, go to place B, deposit things. But here, every quest feels deliberate, meaningful, and deeply important. A tower full of mice, the last wish, carnal sins, these aren't just optional distractions, they're complete stories with emotional arcs and consequences. A seemingly routine monster contract might unravel into a story about love twisted by jealousy. A missing person case might turn into a reflection on grief and forgiveness. The writing refuses to waste your time. There's always something to feel, whether it's curiosity, empathy, or heartbreak. Even small details like an abandoned cabin filled with notes from a family fleeing the war tell stories that don't need cutscenes or dialogue. The Witcher 3 proves that side content can carry as much weight as a main narrative if you build it with care. In fact, I would argue that The Wild Hunt's greatest strength isn't its main story, it's its side quests and DLC. There lay the very best narrative design CD Projekt Red has to offer. While the main story is strong, its strength pales compared to the very beauty of the side quests. And of course, then there is the DLC, but we'll dig into that later in the video. By the time you finish the game, you realize that the side quests weren't just diversions, they were the real story. They are what made the world feel alive, and for me, it's the side quests that get me wanting to replay The Witcher again and again. I think it's easy to critique The Witcher when it comes to its mechanics. The combat can feel clunky, the animations sometimes stiff, and the camera occasionally incredibly fucking uncooperative. But what many miss is that those systems were built for Geralt, not for player power fantasies. Geralt is not a superhuman warrior. He's a craftsman of violence, methodical, tactical, but also vulnerable. Before every fight you prepare, you study your enemy, craft oils and potions, and make decisions that genuinely affect your odds. When you finally step into combat, you feel the weight of every strike, the risk of every dodge. Because we all know there's been at least one fight where you've got the dodges wrong every time, and 25 attempts later you're like, finally I've done it! Only to then get like murked by some fucking mercenary with a crossbow. The game rewards preparation, not just reaction, and it absolutely punishes button mashing. It's very much a system of learn it, get good at it, and be rewarded. That philosophy extends across its systems. Alchemy, monster knowledge, and equipment aren't busy work, they're part of the job. You fight better because you understand the world better. Every mechanical decision reinforces the identity of being a Witcher, a man who doesn't win through brute strength, but through wisdom, ritual, and survival instinct. The Witcher 3's mechanics don't try to be perfect, they try to be believable. And in doing so, they make Geralt one of the best protagonists in a game, ever. He isn't a god. He cannot just brute force his way through every situation. He has to be tactical. He has to strike at the right moment, and he has to prepare and study. It's what makes him such an interesting, intelligent character to play. The mechanics reinforce the narrative. This is a deeply intelligent, deeply tactical character, often trying to navigate a world that is chaotic confusion at the best of times. The Witcher 3's world doesn't feel like it was designed. It just feels like it exists. Every location, from the plague-ridden marshes of Velen to the rolling hills of Toussaint, Toussaint, take me there, I beg you, feels distinct and alive. You can smell the rot in the swamps, feel the chill of Skellige's winds, and hear the murmur of Novigrad's markets. The world isn't just visually stunning, it's arguably the most well-realized visual fantasy world ever created in games. And if any of you dare say, what about Skyrim? Honestly, fuck Skyrim. It has nothing to The Witcher. Okay, I take it back. Not fuck Skyrim. It's just not as good as The Witcher. Whatever. Velen is misery made tangible. A land broken by war, haunted by both monsters and men. Novigrad is bustling but rotten at its core. Its grandeur hiding the desperation of its people. Skellige is majestic, a place of legends and loss, where every mountain peak feels carved from myth. That sense of authenticity extends down to the smallest details. The costumes look handmade. The weathering effects applied to costumes give the world a lived-in, authentic aesthetic so often overlooked and missing from both games costume design and TV and film. Do not get me started on the god-awful costumes from the Witcher TV show. I will go down a rabbit hole of ranting I will not come back from. I mean, look at this. Okay, I'm sorry. I got away with myself. Where was I? The lighting is another triumph in the world's design. From the warm glow of tavern candles to the cold light of dawn Skellige. And then there's the music, that unmistakable mix of Slavic folk melodies and haunting vocals that breathe life into every scene. And you know about the battle music. La, la, la. Anyway, I can't sing. You know the one. Right now you're thinking of it. It's in your head. Right now I can tell. That one. It's great. One of the few open worlds in gaming where simply walking through it feels like storytelling in itself. You don't explore to collect icons. You explore because the world invites you in. Very few games I find, especially open world games, have worlds you genuinely can get lost in and forget about the main story due to the sheer richness of everything else. But this is unarguably the very best example of a game that does that perfectly. When The Witcher 3 launched, CD Projekt Red didn't just release a masterpiece, they nurtured it. At a time when most studios were cutting content to resell later, CD Projekt Red gave players 16 free DLCs, new armor sets, new quests, new appearances, small additions offered as a thank you to their audience. It was a gesture that meant something. It's also a gesture that I believe saves Cyberpunk 2077's awful launch. But that's another video. Oh look, here it is. I've already done that video. You're welcome. Then came Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, expansions that redefined what post-launch content could be. Hearts of Stone told a dark, mature tale of deals and desires, anchored by one of the most chilling antagonists in modern gaming, Gaunter O'Dim. Blood and Wine was practically a full sequel. A sprawling new region, a rich storyline, and a bittersweet ending that gave Geralt something he had never truly had before. Peace. And I will die on the hill when I say this. Blood and Wine is the single most perfect piece of game storytelling ever made. It is the best DLC ever made. And the right and correct ending is Geralt retires on that vineyard and lives a content and happy life. Also, name one other game that's delivered DLC of that high quality. I will wait. I will see you in the comments. Those expansions weren't made to keep a player base engaged. They were made to finish and expand a story the right way. That level of respect for both the game, its characters, and us, its players, is something that has become increasingly rare. Almost 10 years later, every major RPG is compared to The Witcher 3. Some have come close. Many have surpassed it technically, but I don't think any have really matched its heart. It's the yardstick by which narrative-driven games are measured, not because it's flawless, but because it was deeply human. It's a game that values empathy over spectacle. It's a reminder of what happens when developers care about making something meaningful, rather than making something profitable. Although, of course, it was insanely profitable. I mean, look at the amount of copies it sold. Mental. Geralt's story is over, but his world lives on, not just through sequels or absolutely awful TV shows, but in the memories of everyone who ever rode through those fields at sunset, sword at his side, wind in his hair, and that unmistakable theme echoing in the distance. The Witcher 3 isn't the greatest single-player game ever made because it's the biggest, although goddamn that map is huge, or even the longest, or the most advanced. It's arguably the greatest because it feels the most alive, because it reminds us that games at their absolute best aren't just entertainment. They're experiences that reflect who we are, what we value, and how we find meaning in the chaos of life. It's not perfect, because as you know, and I often say, no game is, but it is real. And that's why, even after all these years, very little has ever come close. Hopefully you've enjoyed this deep dive into The Witcher. I know I have. Hopefully I see you down in the comments below, either agreeing or maybe disagreeing. Until next time, something, something, something.